Hey there everyone, this is list 2 for Shortcuts Record Club this week. This price list will go out 9 p.m. Sydney time on Wednesday, February 11th, as we do every week. If you're not a member and would like to be, check out the description below and click the link and add your email, or wait to the end of this video and I'll explain how to do it. Now, this video is a little bit different. In my first video, for those of you who may have watched already, I did 21 rarities and some more expensive records. I've done 21 records here of $20 or less. But to start with, I have something I have never done before. I picked up a collection last year that featured a lot of really interesting world music, including hip hop, reggae, reggaeton, some early rock and roll, various different things. In the collection were 36 records from Spain, Italy, Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil primarily. And this is a collection that is heavily focused on Latin music. It's 36 albums. I have not done a bunch of research on all of them, but I've done some, and I'll put some links in the email that goes out to support this video. But there's 36 of them, and I'm going to sell them as a fixed price at $350. So that's less than $10 a record. And I pulled out a few to show you what I mean. The sleeves are variable, mostly kind of VG, some VG plus, but you get a sense of the type of records I'm talking about. So this is Oli Moronos. Now, my memory of this one is that this is a Uruguayan first press. And it's kind of guitar flamenco. You've got these interesting records from Italy and several that are more kind of flamenco guitar. This is Leonardo Favio. This was recorded in mono. I believe it's from 1967. It's got obviously everything on the back in Spanish. I'm not sure what country this one was released in. I have a funny feeling it might be Chile. We've got Soledad Emilio Jose. And this is kind of more psychedelic. Really interesting. Really interesting. This one was released in Spain. These are all first presses. Nacho Guevara. I think this is also Spain. You've got some more kind of, I suppose you'd call them kind of nationalistic things. So you've got these types of records from Chile. Hector Numa Moraes. You've got, this is a Chilean compilation of kind of killer music from there. I think it's from the early 70s. The stories behind all of these compilations. And you get some female artists like Maria Ortiz. That one's from Italy. And some really rare and quite valuable records as well. I haven't gone through all of them, but this one is easily $50 plus record. This is Canciones de la Guerra Civil Español by Rolando Alacan. Really unusual and really interesting selection. As I said, 36 of these. You know, to be honest, I'm happy to cover the postage if somebody wants to grab them all. So there you go. Any questions? Pop me some questions as well, and I'm happy to answer them. All right, I got 21 under 20, and we're going to flick through these pretty quickly because these are all records that that most of you will know, maybe with a couple of exceptions. Got to start here. As I said, these are either 20 or 15. And assume they're all Aussie first press in VG plus condition, unless I tell you different. The mighty David Bowie, Let's Dance. I still think this record's kind of underrated because it's so good. The extended versions of the tracks with the killer guitar solos and this are really, really good. It's impeccably engineered. You obviously can hear that he really cared about what went on in this record. And the three singles, Let's Dance, Modern Love, China Girl, are as good as anything he ever did. Let's be honest. It's just really good. $20. What about this one? Again, a band. Actually, I don't know if they're overrated or underrated. I think they're one of these weird ones in the middle. But there's Outlandos de l'Amour by The Police. So as a reminder, this is the record that features So Lonely, Roxanne, Can't Stand Losing You. Excuse me. The Police. And so this is kind of, they were still a bit scrappy at this stage, and the songs are kind of that new wave tension in them. But, arguably as good an album as they ever made. It's really kind of minimalistic, but I think the minimalism of early Police is what I think means it doesn't age. I think Ghost in the Machine sounds of its time far more than that record. All right, well, here's what I think is the best Simple Minds album, and I don't think it's particularly close. It's Sparkle in the Rain. This is, again, the Aussie First Press, lovely condition. I think well worth $20 of anyone's money in really, really nice condition. Coming up next, I've got a rarity, a singles compilation that from a band you don't really expect to have a singles compilation, and a really unusual sleeve for this band. I'm going to cover it up. Who do you think this is? This is the singles of Deep Purple. Look at that sleeve. It's really quite something. And so on the back, Ring That Neck, Hallelujah, April Part 1. These are all from Hush, that era, kind of early era of Deep Purple. And then side 2, Black Knight, Speed King, Strange Kind of Woman, Fireball. Track side 2 is where it all kind of kicks off. You get the psychedelic side and the hard rock side. The Deep Purple singles. Very unusual. All right. You may have heard of this one. Blue Sea. Lovely copy. Not a Brucey fan, but, for those of you who are into it, much more of a fan of this band, even though they're nowhere near as popular as Brucey. This is Mick Jones, formed Big Audio Dynamite after The Clash. Some really cool photos. So this was released, let me go, gosh, got to be the 80s, produced by Mick Jones as well. So this is kind of, I don't know, boombox, which you might get from the title. Choppy, hooky, part rock, part dance floor. A little bit of kind of soundtrack, collage stuff going on in there too. Mick Jones, man. Mick Jones was a bit of a genius. All right, $15 for the Aussie First Press of Thick as a Brick, and that's the fold-out newspaper business as well. Let's return to the 80s with the Style Council, The Cost of Loving. I suppose, I don't know if this, obviously this is Paul Weller's kind of post-jam pivot into soul, and I suppose a little bit of funk and smooth kind of jazz, and it's quite polished, but it still sounds really quite contemporary and still quietly political. Certainly, I think he looks back on these records with pride, and still very collectible and very playable. Really, really good. I'm not sure about this man, whether he looks back on things with pride. I'm not the biggest fan of Eric Clapton, but this is a really interesting 2 LP compilation. It's in really nice condition, but it covers, I think, an interesting period, because it focuses in on a lot of his great work with Derek and the Dominos. You Could Tell the Truth. You got Layla. And then earlier than that, you've got Sea of Joy, Blues Power, which he did with Leon Russell. You've got Crossroads, Sunshine of Your Love. And then earlier than that, Tales of Brave Ulysses from Disraeli Gears, which is a really interesting choice. And some earlier things again, like I Ain't Got You in Hideaway, which are really early blues, but he really is quite fiery on those. And I think, to be honest, having an Eric Clapton compilation that ends with Layla and Assorted Love Songs is about right. History of Eric Clapton. Okay, there's a little bit of 90s baggy here. This is the UK first press of Northside, Shall We Take a Trip and Moody Places, produced by Ian Brody of the mighty, oh my God, what were they called again? Ian Brody from, can't believe I've forgotten the name of his band. We're so good. But anyway, those of you who know Ian Brody will know his band. So this is on Factory label, true baggy, and yeah, bright guitars, big drums, everything you might need. There's 2 Stranglers records on the list, $20 or less. One is maybe their best, No More Heroes. I watched a video that I might put in the link if I can find it again. The current keyboard player in the band who restored the old keyboard that was used for No More Heroes. The video was really, really good, actually. U2, live under a blood red sky. Again, lovely condition, $20. A little bit of Aussie Jimmy Barnes, Body Swerve. His solo era. I'm not sure how this stands in his pantheon, but as always, vocal forward, very strident. Has his legacy, doesn't he? As does Cher. This is this run of kind of 80s and 90s records that she did, where she made many hits. This one features, of course, If I Could Turn Back Time. This is Cher's Heart of Stone. Again, I cannot remember what year this came out. 1989. There you go. Cher. One of my favorite Dylan records, and this is from the early 70s, and this is the soundtrack to Pete Garrett and Billy the Kid. Really love that picture on the back, as always. I mentioned there was a second Stranglers record. This is Dreamtime, the Aussie first press. This is in really nice condition, 1986. Jet Black on drums, JJ Burnell, a mighty bass player, Hugh Cornwell, Dave Greenfield. Dreamtime by the Stranglers. We have Revenge by the Eurythmics, which features Missionary Man, Thorn in My Side, When Tomorrow Comes, and The Miracle of Love. It's basically like a greatest hits album, isn't it? From 1986, again in lovely condition. And holding it out again for the female vocalist, we have Suzanne Vega's classic self-titled with Marlena on the Wall. Beautiful, beautiful singer-songwriter. Now, this is one that I'm a big fan of, and I am really not that much of a live album guy, but this record is really interesting. This is Seconds by Genesis. So this is, the period of prog by Genesis where you get Supper's Ready, which is the whole of side C. So this is peak prog, and so you know what you're getting, but it's really nice. Got really nice inserts. It's a very, very well recorded and kind of bonkers sounding thing that anytime I ever put it on, my wife runs into the record room. She's like, turn that SH1T off. But that's part of the reason why I kind of like it. Seconds by Genesis. Now, this band are a little bit of a cult favorite, kind of post-punk. This is Shriekback, and this is a US first press of Oil and Gold. Kind of dubby, a little bit too slightly occult vibe. they were never really purely rock and never really purely dance. They were something in the middle. This is kind of sleek, dark, quite groovy. Again, I think it Shriek Back don't show their age. One of Midnight Oil's best EPs. This is Armistice Day. Again, you know, thoughts are with the family of, you know, and of everyone in Midnight Oil, and thinking about their loss recently. And then finally, an album that probably not many of you really thought about, but this is another live album. This is Mott the Hoople live. So this, one side of it was recorded on Broadway, one side in Hammersmith. So it's kind of loud. It's really kind of more rocky than you might imagine. I think interesting pick. I'll be curious as to whether anyone dives into live Mott the Hoople. There you have it. 21 at $20 or less, and 36 records of Latin American, Spanish, Italian heritage. If anyone wants to grab those bulk price of $350, just let me know. All right. If you like what you saw and want to be on the price list, either go to the description below and click on the link, or drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. Thank you.